Hello there, welcome to Inquiring Minds. My name is Doug, and I'm back with another Pen Resurrection Sunday video where I'll bring a fountain pen that was previously dead as a doornail back to life. But first I want to talk to my members and subscribers over here at Camera 2. So you guys know I just shift the same camera over here and then back again, right? Right. Anyway, I just wanted to speak directly to those of you that watch regularly and support my channel by being subscribers and members. For the last several weeks, I've been producing 3 videos a week. This is mostly to get through a backlog of pen reviews that I've had all jammed up over the last couple of months. However, I'm going to go back to doing only 2 videos a week. The regular Saturday pen review and this Pen Resurrection Sunday. I've chosen Sunday to announce this because the Sunday Resurrection fans seem to be the most devoted pen nerds out there. The extra time in the week will be devoted to trips to the mountains and soaking up some of the spring sunshine. It's also going to be devoted to playing my guitar more. I mentioned this to a few commenters in the past, but now I'll tell all of you. I've been suffering with trigger finger on my fretting hand middle finger. It's the finger I do my best work with too. But for much of the last year, it has meant not being able to play the guitar. I finally got some treatment a few months ago, and I've got most of the mobility back, and I've been playing again and trying to get my previous playing ability back again. No offense. So instead of sitting in my cold basement playing with my pens and making stupid dad jokes on video, I'll be spending a couple of days a week sitting in the sun and playing my guitar for my sweetie. When our Canadian 3 weeks of summer finally turn to pre-winter, or what you guys call autumn, I might start doing Wednesday videos again. We'll see. In the meantime, let's get back to camera 1 and today's zombie pen. And today's zombie pen is this 1940 Sheaffer Balance in this gorgeous red striped celluloid called Carmine. Let's get up to the lab and see it on the slab.
Come up to the lab and see what's on the slab.
Right now. I bought this Sheaffer Balance at an antique store in January, along with a 1937 Balance in marine green, which I've previously restored. And you can see that resurrection by clicking right up there. I'm dating this Balance as a 1940 because that is when this carmine striped red celluloid first appeared, and the lever filler balances were replaced with vacuum filler versions by 1942. So it's between 1940 and 1942. It is the short, slender version of the Balance and is 4 7/8 inches or 122.5 millimeters in length and 27/64 of an inch or 10.5 millimeters in girth. So it's a small pen. And this one was made in Toronto, Canada. Every single cigar-shaped or torpedo-shaped pen in existence today owes its heritage to the Sheaffer Balance, which appeared in 1924. Here are some photos I took of the pen when I got it home from the antique store. The nib looks rough, but it is gold, and gold cleans up very nicely even after 83 years. I didn't notice the crack in the barrel until I was beginning the polishing process. I think I've stabilized that crack now, but one can never be sure with this thin, brittle old celluloid. That is one of the reasons I wasn't aggressive in sanding out all the nicks and scratches on the cap and barrel of this pen. The celluloid is already so thin and fragile, sanding it down further would probably destroy the pen. I was able to knock the nib and the feed out of the section using very gentle taps of my rubber mallet on a thin Allen wrench to get it past the tail and the feed. I use my improvised knockout block that is becoming very useful. It's comprised of a small part of one of my Ink Buddy 48 ink vial storage trays sitting on top of a 9 ink vial tray and a socket wrench. I tap the right size Allen wrench on the back of the feed and the nib and the feed fall through the holes into the trays. It works like a charm. I did some time-lapse video of the process I used to polish the nib, the cap, and the barrel and replace the sack before trying out the pen for the first time. Here's that video. And here's our Sheaffer Balance nib, freshly out of the section. I haven't done any polishing on it yet. There's the feed, pretty strong ebonite, and the section survived as well. So let's see how quickly we can polish this nib up. Wasn't in bad shape to start with. not bad. A few marks right there, some gouges, or someone tried to pull it with tweezers. I don't know, but it's looking pretty good. Now to get the concave side, I use a Q-tip. Sorry, I'm not supposed to use brand names. A cotton swab. Your generic brand is fine. We'll press into it with the polishing cloth from the other side. Of course, that doesn't need to be quite so clean. That's pretty good. I have to make sure it's aligned and tune up that nib. Okay, let's put this section feed and nib back together again. So, line up the nib, and the Sheaffer has kindly made a little ledge there for the nib to sit back against, so you know it's all the way in. So all you have to do is line it up, just like that, and like that, and we'll give it a push. And there we go. Should stick out a little bit out of the tail, and that looks like it's correct. Now we just have to cut the sack to size, so that sack should come to about there, whereas it's about the bottom of those threads. I'm going to snip it off right here at the top of the barrel, and then I'm going to subtract the length of those threads to about there. Looks just about right. A little bit of shellac here. There we go. Give it a slight turn, make sure it's straight. Some more shellac on that edge. There, make sure there's no leaks. And we'll let that dry. Okay, our shellac has dried, and we're going to put that section back in the barrel. First, we need to talc that sack. Coming into Los Angeles, bringing in a couple of keys. Don't touch my bags if you please, Mr. Customs Man. And here we go. Enough of this bullshit. Talc that up so it slides. There we go. And now, get the right orientation here. I'm not going to shellac that section until I know it writes well. And I'm going to have to polish out some of that shellac I got on there. A little bit scratchy in that direction. Lots of feedback. So I'll have to polish this up a bit, I think. Okay, just a little bit of tine straightening, since it looks like that nib has been damaged somehow and got out of alignment. Put it back in alignment, a little bit of micro mesh, and it is as smooth as glass. Beautiful. It's still not a flexible nib, but it is plenty smooth and wet. Beautiful. But I'm going to glue that section down and then we'll do a review. And here is the pen after restoration. The pen holds ink and writes very nicely. Let's look at the parts and features of this pen, and then I'll show some size comparisons, some measurements, and then do a writing sample. Overall, the pen is short and slender. Here it is with a Pilot Metropolitan for scale. When posted, it's a pretty good length actually. From the top, we see the pointed end of the cap. The Carmine red striped celluloid cap tapers up quickly and then is straight for its length to the single chrome cap band. Where the cap tapers back down to the barrel here after the cap band is extremely thin and has some chips on it. You should be able to see them right there. Some of those chips out of that edge. Very thin. The chromed metal clip is very stiff and has an unusual shape. It's not the standard balance clip from any generation I've seen. Perhaps 1940 being the first year of the war for Canada. Metal parts were in short supply, and the Toronto plant got permission from Fort Madison to use third-party clips on some of their less expensive non-lifetime Sheaffer pens. It's just a guess. This balance isn't a lifetime version, as those have the famous white dot either above the clip or at the end of the barrel. The barrel curves up slightly and then tapers away again to the rounded end point. And the barrel is engraved. I don't know how well you can see that, but it does say W.A. Sheaffer Pen Co. of Canada Limited, Toronto, Ontario, Pat, 1936. And the other side has the gold-plated lever. The cap unscrews with 3/4 of a turn to reveal a small black plastic section and the Sheaffer 14 karat gold 5-30 nib and the black ebonite feed. The section is very short and thin and has a small flare towards the gold nib. There's a little bit of blue gunk on those threads that I have to clean off. That's polish that got some ink on it, so that comes off very easily. Let's take a closer look at this nib. It has the Sheaffer heart-shaped breather hole, Sheaffers 5-30 and made in Canada. And the inside of the cap shows a plastic cap liner. The cap posts deeply and securely, making the pen a good length in the hand. I tend to write with it by holding the barrel up here, as that section is a little bit too small and thin for me, but it balances out really nicely. Hence the name. Unposted, the pen is almost too short to write with. Almost. Now let's look at some size comparisons. And here is the 1940 Sheaffer Small Slim Balance in Carmine striped celluloid with a 1940s Waterman Stalwart celluloid, a 1930s Eversharp Skyline, also in celluloid, a 1940s Esterbrook SJ in celluloid, and a 1945 Parker Vacuumatic in gold and pearl, you guessed it, celluloid. Now let's look at them posted. And here they are posted. The Waterman Stalwart has yet to be resurrected. That's why the nib is sticking out so far over here. The Skyline was resurrected but didn't survive long before it shattered into pieces. It's only being held together by thoughts and prayers and a healthy dose of cyanoacrylate. The Esterbrook SJ has been resurrected and belongs to pen friend Janice. And I've just resurrected this stunningly gorgeous Parker Vacuumatic in gold and pearl. You'll see this resurrection next Sunday. I'm totally over the moon with this restoration, and I'm keeping this one. Now let's look at them unposted. And here they are unposted. They're all rather short unposted except for the Parker, which writes nicely unposted. Now let's look at some measurements, and I'll be back with a writing sample. And we're back with the writing portion of the review. This is Clairefontaine 90 GSM paper, and this is the 1940 Sheaffer Balance. And it has a fine 14 karat gold nib. Let's check the wetness. It's nicely wet, and it's really smooth. Very, very nice. Of course, this nib is rather stiff, as we will see. with the line variation. And you can press a little bit out of there. But you can see from the shape of that nib how it's turned down slightly that this nib was designed, it's called a manifold nib, and it's designed to make multiple copies through carbon paper. Multiple copies, hence manifold. And the ink is, of course, Waterman's Serenity Blue. And this nib makes a 0.4 millimeter line, which is a Western extra fine or a Japanese fine on my Richard Binder line width chart, which you can find linked in the description below. And for our quote: and for some reverse writing, it gets very fine. It's a bit scratchier, but it's actually keeping up. And some quick writing. No issues at all. This is a nice, wet, juicy, smooth pen, and it just glides on the page, which is a good thing because it is rather fragile. I wouldn't want to press on it. So what do I think about this resurrection? I was all excited about the resurrection of this little red pen until I discovered that crack in the barrel. I've looked closely at the photos when I first took pictures of the pen after I brought it home from the store, and that crack is there in those photos. I didn't look closely enough until I put that section back in the barrel. Hopefully the good amount of shellac that I put on that section to attach it to the barrel will be enough to hold it and keep it from splitting any further. But this roughly 80-year-old celluloid is pretty thin and brittle, so I would consider this to be a fountain pen that should be used very gently, if at all. I'm of two minds whether to put it up for sale in my next vintage sale or not. I paid $100 Canadian for it unrestored, so I might just hang on to it. And that Carmine red celluloid, even though it's thin and brittle, is just stunning to look at. So I guess I'll clean it thoroughly and put it into storage until it's needed for some size comparisons. It does write beautifully though, so I'm very pleased on the whole with how this resurrection went. As I said earlier, next Sunday you'll get to see the resurrection of this stunning Golden Pearl 1945 Parker Vacuumatic, and they don't get much better than this. And I'm keeping this one for myself. When I put my 1946 Silver Pearl Vacuumatic up for sale, in the video I asked people to please not buy this pen as I really didn't have the heart to sell it. But apparently you people are not to be trusted, and it was purchased within the first hour of the sale. I was disappointed, but I bought 3 more. This black one with double jewels, another silver pearl, and of course this golden pearl. So more pen zombies to look forward to. And there you have it. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that bell to get instant notifications whenever a new video is posted. And please look in the description for a link to Goldspot pens, as I am now an affiliate of the online store, and when you shop at Goldspot using my link, you'll be supporting my channel as well at no extra charge to you. You can also join as a member of my channel too for only 99 cents a month, and I guarantee I'll answer your comments in the comment section, and you'll get cool emojis, badges, and sneak peek unboxing videos as well. And that just leaves it for me to say thank you for watching. And that's all she wrote.
I made this.